Millions of people dream of becoming a professional footballer, but the harsh truth, only 0.5% will get that opportunity. And for those that do make it, the reality in the lower leagues is much tougher than the dream. One player who knows those highs and lows very well is Luther James-Wildin. From signing a pro contract at Notts County, dropping into non-league, to winning promotion with Stevenage.
It's been one of definitely highs and lows, and it's been a journey that's taken time and a lot of commitment and dedication. But it's been a journey that I wouldn't change any aspect of it whatsoever. It's led me to be the person and the player that I am right now, and that's come from the best parts and the worst parts of the journey to this point.
What did you learn about playing non-league football, having come from a professional setup?
The good thing about my journey, or the bit that I've appreciated the most, is the fact that because I wasn't in the academy system until I basically signed a week prior to the scholarship starting. So I hadn't seen academy football whatsoever. So when I signed to Notts County, I had no expectation of I'm going to be a professional footballer. I'm meant to be this. I was just right, I've got this opportunity. Let me just give everything to it and see what happens. So then when I ended up being sent out on loan, for some reason my mentality was I've got the opportunity to play men's football. I didn't get an opportunity to play for the first team at Notts County, and I was just I didn't even get a chance to fail at that. So let's just be successful at the loan spell that I had at Grantham, and it was everything I could have asked for and more, because when I signed there, they were really struggling, and come the end of the season, we went on an unbelievable unbeaten run that season. The lads were great, the staff were great, and we ended up finishing 1 point outside the playoffs, and it was just an all-round amazing experience, or first year of experience when I signed at Grantham.
But despite the successful loan period in non-league, Luther was released from Notts County, having never made a first-team appearance, and signed for National League Northside Nuneaton.
I had a season of just once again giving everything, being the best professional I could be on and off the pitch, although that did then come with being a lifeguard full-time at the same time. But again, just kept that same mentality of being a top professional, working extremely hard every day.
And then when you got the call from Stevenage, did you think all your hopes and dreams of becoming a professional footballer has happened?
I mean, there was rumours of it happening because my manager at Nuneaton had previously been at Stevenage in the past, and he loved my ethics and the way I was as a person and a player. And when that call came, it was just okay, I feel like I deserve it. I've given everything, and now I just need to kick on again.
Do you think your mentality from when you were playing non-league and how you treated it like a professional, how much did that help you with settling into a new professional environment at Stevenage?
It was seamless. You could have asked any of the pros at Stevenage at the time. If they said who's the most professional player here, I'd definitely be first or second in the team, and that's coming from a non-league environment. So I took it very seriously. Looking back, I maybe got caught up in being too serious in how professional I became after that, but it definitely helped me to walk into the changing room and feel I'm going to get accepted into this changing room. I'm coming in with the right energy, the right mindset, and that's ultimately a great foundation to build on.
The biggest misconception in professional football is that everyone earns really good money. You said you were a lifeguard whilst playing non-league, and when you signed for Stevenage, you were earning more money as a non-league player and a lifeguard than you were as a professional footballer. Was that hard to get your head around?
It was, but I was also very much aware that sometimes in life in general, opportunities mean more. I looked at the opportunity to play Football League as I'm at the perfect age to still kick on. So the money aspect of things, I always believe would come down the line, and the most important thing was to be back in an environment where I could actually continue to progress as a player.
Contracts in football are very hard to come by, especially in the lower levels. How much of a stress does that put on yourself when you're signing these 1 year, 2 year deals?
It's something I kind of sit on the fence with a little bit, because to be completely honest, having a short contract, in my experience, I've only ever signed 2 years or 2+1s. It never gives you the opportunity to settle, which is for some people a bad thing, but for me it's been a good thing, because it's meant that I can't take my foot off the gas. There's always going to be competition no matter what squad you're in. You're then able to take every single season as it comes and just be I need to be good this year, because I don't know what happens next year, or I've only got 1 year after that, and if someone takes the number 2 spot from you, then you've only got 1 more year to make up for that. So it's something that, of course, having long-term financial security for your contract's amazing, but for me personally, the mental aspect of having a short contract really like does get the best out of me, or has done to this point anyway.
Have you seen players then go the other way, where the short-term contracts have affected them and they become a different person in the changing room?
Every player is very different, and some people thrive in that environment. I've seen players literally come to the last year of a contract and it's like, it's time to get a move, and they just raise everything. Then there's other players that just, it's all in the mind, just go the other way, and they lose confidence, or because they don't have the security, they're not able to be as aggressive in everything that they do because they're worried about what ifs. I've seen it, but it's never an obvious thing. It's more so you just know it's, they're coming to the end of their contract, and suddenly, they're
banging 3 goals.
Either way, literally, I've seen both.
When you do come to an end of a contract and you're going in to speak to people about renewing, how do you figure out your worth, and how difficult are those conversations to have?
They're really difficult, and without going too much into it, this journey off the pitch gave me the opportunity to speak to the club myself and represent myself for the first time in my career, and the conversations were amazing, and I had to go through that journey of finding out what I felt my worth was. When you have an agent, you basically just trust them. This is what we know of other players, this is what we know of previous deals that have been done with players in your position, etc. But when it's you doing it yourself, you really do have to go through a really humbling experience as to what value do you really bring to the team, whether that's on the pitch, off the pitch, and then how does that compare to other players. And then you just have to go through the journey of negotiating, which is something in itself, but it was an incredible experience, and one that I think both parties really enjoyed in regards to me and Stevenage.
What are the biggest problems lower league footballers face in today's game?
I mean, there's a lot of positives about the non-league game at this moment in time, especially compared to when I was there. I don't know if you class it as a problem or not, but a lot of non-league players get the opportunity to play in the Football League, and they turn it down because it makes more financial sense, or even sense with their time. They get a better deal by being non-league, and the hours that they train, or non-league can be a little bit more flexible than the Football League at times, from my experience back in the day anyway. I would say that that's a problem, but also not a problem. It's great that lads playing at that level now get to choose which route they want to go down. I put a post on my Instagram the other day and asked the question to players, would you take a pay cut to come to the Football League, or would you choose non-league? And had loads of lads message me saying I chose non-league. I respect it, I understand.
Is that part of players having to be honest with themselves as well, looking at how far can they realistically go?
Yeah, and it does come down to that as well, because you look at enjoyment as well. Football's about enjoyment, and for certain characters, being the top pro 24/7 isn't for them, in which case the non-league game at certain clubs at certain levels can be absolutely perfect. There's other players out there that will be like, that's what I need to improve. That opportunity will kick me into that next gear. And it does come down to belief and the type of life that you want in the future, really.
Are you that honest with yourself on how far you feel you can go in football?
My journey in regards to how I've believed in myself through this journey of football has been an interesting one, because I never felt like I was going to be here right now. I was never like, I deserve this, I'm gonna get this. It was never that. It was always, I've got this season, and what am I going to do with it? Okay, let me give everything. These are my goals, these are my targets. Let me just go gun-ho on this year, and let's see what happens. And that's literally been my career from year one through to now, whether that's on a 1 year, 2 year, whatever my contract situation. It's like, I've got this season.
So you literally do take it one game at a time?
Literally one game and one season at a time. And with that mindset, you don't get caught up in, I'm not where I want to be, or this and that. It's like, no, I've got this game, I'm gonna be the best version of me, and then I'll do the same the following game.
We've seen players with egos in the Premier League, but how can an ego affect a player's development in the lower tiers of English football?
Ego was something that I really struggled with when I first came into the Football League, because I've never really felt like I've had an ego, especially when it comes to football. I've always just seen myself as me, whether I'm speaking to fans, family, people on the street, whatever. I'm just a human. So when I have come across players that, do have that bit of an ego about them, it can be a real positive or negative. I find that some of the best players I've played with have an ego, and it's that ego that drives them to really perform, because they back themselves that much. And then I've seen players that have an ego and go the opposite way, and it all just comes down to how that person can channel it, get it to produce the best out of them. Ego's a really interesting one that I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about it, because it can really go both ways, and I think when you have an understanding of it, that's when you can really try to channel it correctly.
Do you have senior pros in the changing room then that will put a lid on players that maybe are getting a little bit too big for their boots?
Right now, we've got a special changing room.
It does look good.
It's special. The characters that we have at the club right now, when new players come in, we've got a core in the group that's been here quite a while now, but when new players walk into the building, it's almost as if they sense what we have. If they do have an ego, it very quickly, they realise it because they're standing out like a sore thumb. They're not seeing that behaviour or that type of conversation being spoken by other players, and suddenly they feel like an outcast, and suddenly they become part of the group as well by just parking that and realising we don't need that in our dressing room. We're all just fighting for the same thing every single day. So come in and fight with us, because if you don't, you're going to stand out for the wrong reasons.
How much of an impact does the manager have on the development of a player in the lower leagues?
I've had so many managers throughout my career that have really helped develop different sides of my game. My Grantham manager was, in regards to making me realise what it takes to play men's football, he was absolutely perfect. He was the perfect manager I could ask for at that moment in time. He trusted me, he allowed me to make mistakes and continued to play me. I learnt a lot defensively from another manager once I was at Stevenage, and then I've had other managers that have seen that, or they believe I've got more technical ability than I've even shown, and they've really nailed down that side of my game. And I try my best to take something from every single one of them, whether it's a positive, negative, and just try and learn from every manager that I've had.
How do you deal with criticism from managers and social media?
Yeah, criticism from a manager, I've always been able to take, always. I've never been one to get my back up and be like, I don't think that's right. That's never been me as a person. If you're telling me something from your experience, then I'm going to listen to it and respect it. However, when I signed to Stevenage and I first experienced social media on a different level than I'd had in any other stage of my career, it bothered me. It did, and the Stevenage fans won't be surprised to hear that. But we've grown together, and we're in a great place now. And I appreciate all of them, and appreciate that I was young at the time. I was making mistakes, and everyone's entitled to an opinion at the end of the day. The bit I struggled with then compared to now is because I was a footballer and I wasn't really anything else other than that. It felt personal. Whereas now that I play football, but I don't go around saying I'm a footballer. If you don't rate me as a footballer, that's okay. But I know what I am away from the pitch, and that's, the most important thing to me.
A footballer's career is short-lived, and for those in the lower divisions, a job after retirement is likely to be on the cards, which is something Luther has already been working on.
It started off for me just having a passion for property, away from football from early. Again, I don't know where it came from. It was always in me, and when I signed to Stevenage, I was 20 at the time. I had a gut feeling that I wanted to start sharing this journey, but I've just got to move to the Football League. Like, I'm not going to put that pressure on myself at that moment in time to come in from non-league and say, yeah, I'm doing property and this and that. So I just kept it quiet, and then we had a few rough years at the club where we were fighting relegation, and year on year, I wasn't showing what I was doing. And then suddenly we had one season where we started to progress more as a club in the direction we wanted to go, and it was the season we got promoted. And partway through that year, I decided that the club's in a good enough place that there's never been a better time to risk putting myself out there, basically. And then it's just snowballed into what I've realised was needed in the game, and that's I never felt like, as a young footballer wanting to get into property, that I had any role models in front of me in the game that I could reach out to and lean on for advice. It was always the people online in the property space that you're trying to get hold of, and vice versa. Building a personal brand, there was no one out there other than, like, you had Rashford that was showing everything he was doing away from the pitch, and that very quickly turned into a real negative around him. When you're looking at that being the role model, put me off again for years to properly commit. And alongside this, I've been on this property journey with my brother, and he's had health conditions along the way. Put that alongside my daughter being born, and I hit a point where I was like, this is what I need to do. I feel like I'm going to be able to help a lot of people by doing it. When it's not about you anymore, then it's a lot easier to commit to a journey knowing that you can massively help other people around you.
Do you see it a lot in football then, that players not thinking about what's going to happen in 10 years' time?
Every single year you'll have conversations on the coach about life after football. At different stages throughout a career, the conversations will crop up, and I've always found the conversations quite difficult because there's not been enough action being taken. There's a lot of things being spoken about, I want to do this, I want to do that, but it's not being, aligned with actual action being taken. So
why do you think that is?
I think it's easy to say an idea and think that it's going to happen because you've said it. Everyone says that's a good idea, and then you don't act on it. That's the easy thing to do. Again, there's no real role models speaking about it. More and more so now, I'm noticing it more and more that people, or players, are starting to speak about the qualifications that they're getting, the courses that they're on. I think it's amazing that now people are wanting to share it. But when I started my social media journey, we're going committed to it 8 months ago, there was no one that I could look at that was really championing their own journey off the pitch, but not making it about themselves, making it about, I want other people to really start doing more for themselves off the pitch, because your career is going to end and that's inevitable. And I've seen too many players come to the end of their career and panic, and I just never wanted to be that player.
How much does that then help you on the pitch, knowing that if football did stop tomorrow, you've got something lined up that you can fall into?
Right now is the happiest I've ever been in my footballing career, without a doubt. I walk into the building with a smile on my face every single day, whether I've had a bad training session the day before or an unbelievable training session the day before, whether I've had a good game, bad game. I appreciate coming into the changing rooms and doing what I do every single day, because I've now got a different perspective and I can take it for what it is, knowing that there's no point in hanging on to bad moments, etc. The most important thing is that you're in the right headspace to go and perform well, like the following game or the following day. And that has really become apparent since I've started to build my life outside of football.
What's one thing you think football fans don't understand about professional footballers?
Every level's different. I've never played in the Prem, I've never played in the Champ, and I can't imagine the comments and the social media backlash that comes to those players. But because fans don't get access to players at that level, they don't seem like humans. They're just these people that you see on TV. But I know that that's all they are. They're just humans that are fortunate enough or have worked hard enough in their career to get to the point that they're at. And the majority of them are just trying to give their best every day. And sometimes you're in a team where there's just no camaraderie. It's the hardest thing ever to win a game. It really can feel like that at times, but majority of players want to win more so than the fans. Like, they really do. We all just want to win games, and when things aren't going well,
your job depends on it.
Well, exactly. Life depends on it. You've got a family at home that are reliant on you doing your job well. So it's impacting these players more than fans realise. But again, since sharing my journey on socials and putting myself out there, I've felt a completely different connection with the fans here. I'm willing to be vulnerable with them. Any single one of them knows they can stop me at any point, and I'm going to have a conversation with them and be exactly who I come across as on social media, and that's really powerful in itself.
What's the one thing you think in football in general needs to be spoken about more?
I would just love for the game to embrace footballers for the people that they are, like to embrace personality. You see it with Cole Palmer. He speaks differently in front of the camera and everyone loves it. And I understand why, players at the high level get media trained so they don't say anything wrong, but just zaps the personality out of anyone. And I think that's a massive issue, because then people don't get to express who they really are, and that's all part of the problem of just like, you're a professional footballer, don't show that other side of you, and then suddenly football's done and you're expected to show the other side of you to then go live the next chapter of your life. I just don't think that that's a positive thing for anyone, and that's what I've seen firsthand.
What would be your advice then to players in a similar situation to yourself, or even in the National League North and South, where a lot of those players are professional now and probably not working two jobs like they used to back in the day?
I would just say, look at your contract and understand what would happen if you never got a contract after that. What would you have wished you'd have done with your time during that contract to make you feel more comfortable if you never got a contract again? That's how I'm living right now, and it does free you, because you know what worst case is and you plan for it. As long as what you're doing isn't directly impacting your performance in a negative way, you've only got so many positives to gain from that. One thing I would say is that a lot of people, if you're anything like me, will have to go on a serious journey of personal development to get to a point where you're willing to drop your ego and build something that now stops you being just a professional footballer. You are going to have to drop your ego with that, but once that's gone, it's an incredible place to be in.
And what is an incredible place to be in is this changing room right now, because what you guys are producing on the pitch as we conduct this interview before the Mansfield game, the sky's the limit for this team.
It is, and we know how long a season is, and this group are not going to ever get carried away, but when you get a sense of winning and you know what it takes to win, that's a feeling that as a group you hold on to before every single game, and you just want to recreate that feeling before every game to go and replicate what you did the game before. And that's where we're at as a group, and that stems out onto the training pitch every single day. The intensity we train at, the standards we demand of each other, and then just the way that we are as a group when we come in from training, it's special, and we want to achieve things this year, but we know that that's only going to happen if we just stay consistent with the things we're doing at the minute.
Luther, I wish you all the success on and off the pitch, mate.
Appreciate it. Thank you.